Welcome to Snob Chronicles. It's week 13, and we back in this thing on Turkey weekend, extended vacay week, whatever way you look at the holiday. But I got my boy D Jones tonight. What's up, D?
Chilling, what's popping?
Well, um, I'm feeling holiday festive.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's the
just a little
Christmas season, kicking off with Thanksgiving.
an interesting point there. I had someone who I noticed they were anti mentioning of Christmas until Thanksgiving occurred. Would you say you are a household that you need your Thanksgiving period, then you move into Christmas, or they do they overlap, or you really don't care?
It's all in one. It's the holiday season. It starts
Okay.
November 1st. It's just the first part of it is Thanksgiving, and then we flow into Christmas. Now we don't put up our Christmas decorations November 1st. So we because I'm in a household full of the female or the strong women. Let me say it that way. Strong
Good women,
black women.
good women. Let's be careful about um
Women with women.
yes,
Let's
yes,
leave it at that. With some
yes.
strong women, and they like to decorate for the festives. So we have a fall decor for Thanksgiving, and then we flow into Christmas. But as far as the spirit of the holidays, man, we start the Christmas music and the Christmas movies pretty much November 1st. So they've been ready to go. So nah,
Okay, okay.
it's the holiday season for us. What about you? Is it separate for you or?
I would say it's all the same because I don't put up a tree. I don't do uh I don't do Halloween decorations, not because I got a Halloween issue, because I do Halloween costumes. Um, but I don't put up a tree. I don't do fall decorations. I did one time like something about football. I have a mat that says faith, family, and football. That's but that's out all year long.
I about to say that's 24/7. Yeah.
But no, because I don't, yeah. I think it's fine. I don't have a problem with dealing with Thanksgiving during Christmas time and overlapping. I don't have a problem with speaking on Christmas early, watching the Christmas movies. It don't matter because I'm still not putting up a tree.
Well,
Um,
yeah, I did the decor part. What about food? Are you a traditionalist when it comes to Thanksgiving, or do you step outside the box? Do you do traditional for Thanksgiving and Christmas?
so don't really do a big Thanksgiving, right?
Mhm.
Personally, it'll just be me and the TV. And I'll call my dad. My mom's out of town. But fun fact, when I was in college, I would just go home with different people for Thanksgiving. And my mom would go to Disney World.
I never knew that.
Yeah,
I
so
knew I
she
knew I knew you would move around, but I never knew she went to Disney every year.
yeah, she
Oh
would
wow.
go to Disney, and it was not grandkid related or anything because I'm the oldest as far as children, but my sister has kids. But yeah, she would go to Disney World. She would go to Florida, and I would just be, so I can't really remember what I did as a kid other than, you always went to grandma's, but we were real big on Christmas. And then as people got older, we would alternate even years. We would do it together. Odd years, you would go with your in-laws. And that was kind of the way we did that. And then so originally we were like all in 3 different cities, right?
Mhm.
Well, 4 at one point. And then somehow everybody ended up in Dallas but my parents. So then they would just come down to Dallas and we would just have Christmas because I only have 2 first cousins, and I should be more specific. I only have 2 first cousins on my mom's side. And so we were really close knit. And so they moved to the Dallas area. My sister was in the Dallas area. My aunt was in the Dallas area. And then my aunt of the 2 cousins, she would frequent Dallas. So at that point, it was like, okay, mom, dad, y'all just hop on the road and we gonna go with this thing. So
Right.
that's kind of how we did that. But yeah, we big on Christmas,
Mhm.
but as we've discussed before, um, there's a change this Christmas, which I think probably could take us into teams of the week because I'm going to kind of throw that in there.
Yeah, we can jump into this thing.
Uh, it's been announced, of course, everybody knows by now that Beyonce is the halftime for the Texans Ravens game that'll be on Netflix. And I was already planning to attend the game, you know.
Hmm.
Uh, so that didn't really change much for me per se. But uh, I would say that's quite interesting because I remember them doing Thanksgiving as Destiny's Child. Of course, we know she's done Super Bowls. So I thought it was kind of perfect fitting that they picked her considering, it's in Houston. So I thought it was good marketing. I'm always for good marketing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh,
And,
and then
and I give Houston, I'll give the Texans credit. They probably didn't have a lot to do with this, but I'm sure they welcomed it. But they've been doing pretty good. I mean, for those that don't actually attend the games, the last couple of years, their halftime, I'm gonna call it diversity, has been pretty solid as far as getting some of the local artists, the local hip hop artists mixed in with some of the local country artists and different things at halftime. So I've been pretty impressed the last two, last year and into so far this year with the
okay.
entertainment that they've selected for halftime. It's been pretty good. And so that just kind of ramped it up a little bit. Of course, in my household, my wife was intending to go, but it sounds like that ticket is being forfeited now for
Oh,
a diehard member of the
the
Beehive.
Beehive.
So
Well, look up there. Tell her Merry Christmas.
yeah, yeah. So I
Um,
think I think her plea has been accepted, but I don't know if she knows yet. But we'll see if she watched this show. Maybe she follow out here.
yeah,
We'll
let's
find out
let's
here.
give a shout out to Nurse B and her picks. She's sticking with it. I like
Yeah,
it.
yeah. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it in the morning tomorrow. So it's like,
Okay. Okay.
yeah, she's into it. She lives and dies every week. She's stressed out like crazy. So she's quit every Sunday the last 5 weeks, but we still get the picks out.
Okay. Okay.
She's like, Dad, how do you do this? I'm like,
Um,
like
tell her I understand, because I think this is now like the third week in a row. It's still kind of bunched up at the top, but in our pick 'em, I keep hanging in there, and the games I think to take the risk on, then the ones we think we should win on are the ones that fall apart. And man, that kind of takes me to my other team of the week, which it's an individual, Jameis Winston. I mean,
so
okay. So
let's
let me
let's 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 shine on him, but we're gonna say the team of the week is any team that he's on.
correct. That's correct. And what's interesting about that is like he genuinely locked me in on a college team. Like I can say like growing up, being in Texas, you used to watch the A&M Texas rivalry game, which we'll get to that later because that's returning, right? And that's exciting. And then, always your Iron Bowl, things of that nature. But as far as like truly following a college team, Jameis was the one who truly had me following Florida State. Like I was not a person that had a college team at that time. It was just college football is on. Maybe you watch a game or two, but there wasn't a team I was actively wanting to win. And he did that for me. I thoroughly enjoyed him in college, and so I wanted to see him succeed in Tampa. And I met him his rookie year and got, a little picture moment or whatever. It literally just lined up perfectly. They came to Houston, got a photo, all a cool thing. And I just always remained, interested in his journey. And the more he allowed himself, and so this is where I feel like we have benefited from the culture of social media, because we would not know his personality as much, because you and I are from a generation where when the media used to report on teams, it was just very methodical. It was, they set up the camera, you see a little angle of someone's pregame in the background, and they would talk who's out, who's in, and stats. And then they'd go back to the studio. And then the post game would be the rigid couple of questions. How'd you feel about the play? What do you think happened? Why didn't you win? And that was it.
Yeah.
And now I can say there is a certain emphasis at times to just try to get the personality of the key personnel on a team, right? And everywhere that Jameis has went, it has become a theme. And they may have initially did it to try to clickbait because they were using Jameis to feed it. But there is a genuine interest now in what is Jameis saying for pregame, And I thought one of the coolest things, shout out to the Browns, was to release the full period of Hot Mic with Jameis. Normally you get maybe a couple of 30-second clips. They edit, try to see what can they find that would be entertaining to share. But I literally watched the whole clip, and excuse my earrings if I give up. And so at this point, it was just entertaining because you really knew it was him. And people make comments, and I think I resonate with him in this journey he's in with himself, because it's always exciting to be yourself, right? Because when you're yourself, you don't have to overthink and over apologize. Now, I mean, obviously, if people are not good people, that's a different situation. But I think when you are just really enjoying yourself, I can resonate with him and how he feels about getting on that field, because that's how I feel when I would get in the stands, And so when I would arrive at the stadium, my energy was just all the way turned up. And that is so great, because people don't realize, like, that adds to your quality of life, whatever it is that can do that for you. So he's a joy to see. And the people who doubt and discount him in other ways, whether they want to focus on what he's not capable of doing on the field and things like that, I challenge you to remember that for a while people have been complaining about players only care about their image and their money, and they've lost the love of the game. Nobody wants to play to win for the love of the game. Well, here's your guy. Here's your guy. And on the other end of that spectrum, you had a Brady, right? Brady was that guy, right? He was in love with football. And so here you have two great versions of what it looks like to love the game. And I'm just happy to see him out there. Now, I want him to play good football, but at the same time, I think the people who keep speaking on that, it's just weird for me. And hey, Gonzalez, good to see you. But yes, the storm is crazy. The snowstorm is rough on you the higher up you sit, because for people who've never been to Cleveland, the stadium is right off the lake. So it's a lake effect when it snows. So it's very different than, just the snow falling. So yeah. Whew. And I meant to provide some pictures to show the example of, I forgot to do that one. I'll get to that another time. But I have pictures from when I went to Cleveland. It was snowing outside and everything's covered in snow. But because we were inside in the heated field, the snow has stopped. So it was pretty cool. So I'm looking forward to getting my Winston effect this week. And I challenge people who have not seen the clip from two weeks ago when the Browns played the Saints, and see how many staff, players, and coaches waited just to hug and say hello to Jameis. That is a testament of his energy that you can't argue. You
Yeah,
know,
it's his character.
that's
It's I mean, it's funny to me how, if you go back, and even Gonzalez mentioned Snowcraft Winston, and you go back to when he talked about eating the W's, and everybody laughed at it, and it's still funny to this day. And then and then I've seen God dog, I can't remember his name, but the defensive tackle that was on that team saying like, what is he saying? And that moment was hilarious. Jameis gives us a lot of hilarious moments, but he also gives us so many like dimes. You know what I'm saying? Like, even the time where, I remember the post game interview when they asked him about, getting hurt. He's like, everything hurt. He's like, just everything hurt, and it was funny, but it was so true. It's like, we criticize these guys, and it's like a lot of them. I was telling my nephew one time, I'm like, dude, they are healthy game one. After that, everybody's hurt. You know what I'm saying? And it becomes our, phrase that we kind of stole from Calvin Murphy. Are you hurt or are you injured? You know what I mean? Because everybody's hurt. So, and he just gives you those dimes, and then just to see the childlike energy and joy of the game, which you just touched on, it's like, how can you be mad at that? Yeah, we're not talking about between the lines. He's going to throw a lot of touchdowns. He's going to throw some interceptions too. But one thing you're not going to question is his heart and his effort. You know what I mean? They showed that play where he throws a completed pass, and then there's a fumble, and he's the first person in on the tackle. So he's not giving up on the play just because he had a completed pass. This wasn't an interception. This was a completed pass, and the guy fumbled, and Jameis is right there tackling the guy with the ball. So it's like, how can you be mad at that type of effort, that's being displayed? You do want him to play well, you definitely, but how can you not root for that guy? Let me say it that way, because as a fan, we be mad about everything, but how can you not root for that guy when you see him out there? I don't see how you can't, you know what I mean? So yeah, we big fans. We talk about him all the time. We always sharing clips and stuff.
correct,
And it's like,
correct. And just a side tidbit, like people like to focus so much on the 30 for 30 season for him. But at that time, I am a product of the change of LASIK. When LASIK was originally available, people with severe astigmatisms, we couldn't get it. So even though he would want to correct his vision, he really didn't have too many options. He wasn't going to be out there in contacts. And you will find that from several players. It's more difficult to play with contacts than it is to be without, because I think Donovan Mitchell said the same thing.
Yeah.
He doesn't play basketball with contacts in, because anything can attach to everything, becomes an issue once you add the contact in the elements. Like Winston said, he had to take the visor off to finish playing the game. It was easier to let the snow hit his face than it was to let it hit the visor and you can't see.
Yeah.
So I think
we got to talk about that Donovan Mitchell later another day, because
but that was pretty interesting.
That was crazy.
And I can relate.
Crazy.
So, but just sticking with that, but people speaking so much on it, that little effect brings the number down. It wasn't so much that he needs to have LASIK so he can throw perfect darts and never throw an interception. You know what I mean? You guys keep forgetting it's still some rust there, right? Like, he wasn't a starter, so he's got to get that energy out. And it's like, for some reason, when he hits the field, it's like there's an expectation he has to be perfect. And then when every other backup hits the field, it's about, let him just see if he can manage and can finish the game. We don't hear the same energy. And that to me also is a testament to you deep down, you love Jameis. So you already preparing for, you want him to elevate at this level because of his history. So I know I've been on my Jameis tangent, but he was my closeout for team of the week. And
we could talk about that all day, because I don't even want to talk about the next one. So we can hit on the next one real quick. So this is our segment where we talk about the teams that basically make us weak. And I only had one for the week.
Okay.
I'm still weak. You know me. I try my best to live by the 24 to 48 hour rule when it comes to my sports. I learned this a long time ago with my Rockets, actually, when the Rockets is crazy. But I learned it with the Rockets, not to harp on losses as much, even as frustrated as I can get. but this one I'm the Texans offense has me baffled. Um, I we normally talk right after the games a lot, and I ain't want to talk about it. We can talk about
You didn't
anything.
want to talk to me.
We can talk about anything that you want to talk about except Texas offense, probably all week. But we did get it in a little bit yesterday. But yeah, it's just it's baffling that the offense not only I started to put the second half offense, but after Sunday it's the Texans offense. Period. The aggression that we've seen from last year to this year, and I'm gonna say from top down, right? You know, I'm not gonna. I'll let you talk if you want to talk about specific positions, but top down, that's just made me weak. Anything you want to say there? Anybody you want to add to it? But I don't want to beat it, but it's just been bad.
So I know we moved on to that, and we're gonna stay there. But because there's a delay and we talk live, and then our fans watching, shout out to Will for joining us and Curtis, they're commenting on our previous topic because of the natural progression of live TV, and just talking about the different contact lenses and sunglasses. So I just wanted to give a guys the shout out for following on that topic. But yeah, I do remember trying to have the tinted contact lenses who didn't want to wear sunglasses, but it didn't take off when they were trying to do it for baseball players, because the visor hat used to, outfield and everything used to be a big deal with shadows. But moving back into what you're saying, Curtis, is addressing the fact that there's a lot of repeat, and when you do that, the league pays attention, which is true. I mean,
That's true, but everybody does that.
I was going to say, but the difference is every team does that. So you still should use what works for you, and when it's not working, move to something else. I think that's the bigger focus is, do you have a plan B? And often you hear people say, I don't have a plan B because I don't plan for my plan A to fail. Well, then in some instances, you have failed to plan, and so you should have a plan B, because halftime is not really so you can get a water break and use the restroom. It's to adjust and see what is not working. And then if something is working, keep doing it, but have another plan, and I've put a lot of time this season, I would say, into seeing what is the other team doing to respond to us from the first half offensively, right? The easy target is O-line help, Will. I get that part. But what I'm more specifically speaking on is, like, for instance, when Detroit arrived to Houston, it was very clear that they had powerhouse run game. That everybody knew that. You didn't have to be a diehard to know that would happen. And it was very respectable to see the cohesive unit of the defense to slow the run game of the Lions. That was pure effort, design, skill, play. Now, on that same breath, their offensive coordinator was like, we need to run the ball. So what
we
was
don't
it?
Do what we do.
We don't do what we do. And second half, he changed up the run plays. He didn't stop running the ball because he needed some run game to help out. And so I guess I just wonder, when are we going to take some different turns for ourselves? Because I think you have to move away from the personnel complaint, which I've done probably more than most at other times. But you have the personnel you have. You can shift them left, right, but that's the personnel. So saying it's almost like crying wolf. Stop saying they need O-line help. It's not coming. You're not drafting somebody tomorrow. You're not trading for someone tomorrow. You're not hiring a top guy from a tryout next Tuesday. You have what you have. So then you have to say, what else can I do? There's been a time you've been home and you've been hungry, and all you have is what's in your kitchen. And you got to take your butt in that kitchen and figure it out. Mama said, figure it out. Somebody household, that may be ramen noodles. Somebody else household, that may be pork chops. Somebody else household, maybe a bologna sandwich. But figure it out. And that's all I got. Figure it out. Because I don't want to do too much else on it. Figure it out.
Figure it out. I agree. All right, let's go. Hey, shout out to those that's playing in the Pick'em League, the Grandsbury's Pick'em League. We actually have a new leader by tiebreaker. So the points are the same as our last leader. So we still got a 3-way tie for first place, and CB's team is still right there. But the leader this week by tiebreaker is You Can't Beat Me. And then yeah, the name's dope. 124 points, and the third place, that's the third person or third team with 124 points happens to be, Grandsbury.
The Grandsbury.
But,
the Grandsbury. He didn't want to say it loud there, He didn't want to say it out.
No, it's cool, but somebody coming from behind.
I see you.
I'm just saying.
I see you.
I'm just saying. I was in like 20 something, and I'm like 5th.
I see you. I want you to know that. And I see you too, Will, with DoorDash, but you're being modern at this point because I'm queen of DoorDash. Okay. I can get everything in the world on DoorDash. Heck, where I live, I can actually pay an extra fee and they'll deliver me things from outside the area. So we don't want to get into DoorDash. Stop it. What I'm talking about is what's in your kitchen. Okay. Yeah. So the DoorDash is basically saying draft or sign somebody. You're not doing that right now. Go in the kitchen, get the mayo or the mustard because you don't have both in this scenario. You got the end slices of the bread. Okay, make it happen. Yeah. Will wanted us to know is that you can't beat me.
That's what I know. Okay, I put it out there for him.
Yeah.
Don't slip up.
Don't slip up.
Don't slip up.
Don't slip up, because baby, I got you last year. But boom, boom, boom. You're trying to come back. Boom, boom, boom. I can see.
It ain't no lead. It's a pack. Who gonna merge?
Pack. And it's a pack that keep going like this.
It's like you're watching that marathon and you just see.
Yeah, a little leader pack. You know the winner in that little pack, but it just keep going. Yeah,
for sure. Shout out to Coach, because I know he way back there somewhere. So
Coach D Pat, he in a deep entanglement this time.
He way back. So let's get into the next segment. Next segment is our 3-piece and a pepper. The first piece that we're gonna talk about is a divisional game this week between the Steelers and the Bengals. We got the Steelers on the road. We got Money Mike Tomlin going to Cincinnati to face off on Mr. Burrow, as I'm sure he's probably referencing him this week. I like to call him Cool Joe. What you looking for in this game? What you looking for? What you want to see first? I ain't gonna ask you who's gonna win.
Okay, great. I'm looking forward to seeing. Well, we keep seeing the back and forth of Justin and Russ, or was that an effect of needed some different run plays because the snow was getting heavy? What they were seeing.
No, they did it the week before. They had a package for him the week before where they couldn't put him in.
But there was.
I think it still was a package. I think it was still.
To me, a package. I'm gonna give you a down or two, but they literally kept him out there most of that series until he.
Yeah, that's fair.
Got it complete. That was more like that drive was all about him.
That's fair.
So. I'm just interested to see if we'll see more of a mix-up, because I didn't dislike that at all. But it's just, will you be able to facilitate it in a different way? I thought it was great coaching. I think sometimes, coaches become so dependent on things have to go one way. It's a great thing when you can see the utilization of the backup. I always feel like when there's such a huge fall off with the backup, it's very disappointing. So I like that. So I'm interested to see how that looks. I'm interested to see, again, Cincy just keeps finding those tough losses. It's just one of those teams that if you looked at the stat lines, they're not a good team, but if you look at the stat lines, they're a good team. So it's one column makes the difference, right? The win and loss. So I'm just seeing if they can finish. I don't really want to put it as I want the Steelers on a 2-game skid, but it's more so like, can the 4 quarters be a finish for the Bengals? Because it seems like at some point the end of the games are getting away from them, whether it's offensively or defensively. And I still can't see it this week, but I still am looking for a little bit more in their run game. I mean, I'm glad they gave us Mixon, but I'm truly interested to see a little bit more run game from them. And I don't know. I want to see maybe the over under on how many times will the Ravens go for a 4th down. Because I mean, oh my bad. I'm thinking still about the Ravens game. That was gonna be next. Sorry. I got ahead of myself. That's my next one.
Get ahead.
But yeah, so that's what I'm interested to see.
All right, I'm gonna give you three. You don't have to tell me who's gonna win the game, but just tell me who you give the nod to, right? Let's start with coaching. Pittsburgh or Cincinnati?
Pittsburgh.
Who do you give the nod to offensively? Pittsburgh or Cincinnati?
Cincinnati.
And who do you give the nod to defensively?
Pittsburgh.
Okay, so Pittsburgh gonna win. All right, the next game.
Pittsburgh.
No.
You got, but man, so
no,
I gotta give him his props. That's why. So.
That's fair too. Absolutely. Yeah. All right, next game, you getting ahead, but next game you flowing into it is the Eagles at the Ravens. I think this is the best game of this week.
Man, I'm so mad this is not Sunday night football.
By far, this is the best game of the week.
I so wish it was.
I wish it was Thanksgiving, but hey, not. But we got traditions that we got to keep up. But
okay,
we should have that should have been on the teams for the week. I slept on that. The matchups we got on Thanksgiving Day. Oh my God! I mean, Packers Miami at that night should be good, but
the reason I did is I couldn't have left them in 3-piece and a pepper. So the Packers game is part of my pepper. So
that's fine. But let's go ahead. I don't want to take away from. Let's Eagles and Ravens. What you
man? I mean.
2 leaders in the MVP, probably 3 leaders in our MVP.
3 leaders in the MVP, and I'm glad we went back to that. So everybody, if you didn't see last week's show, you can hit it at about the 22-minute mark where we have our discussion about who we think are the 5 front runners for MVP. I'll try to get that clip out, and we're just gonna, keep going over that scenario of 5. And Saquon's performance, not just because it was 250 yards, not because it was 300 yards of total offense for him alone, but he is the game changer MVP lead right now. And, it's a great matchup of our 5, but he has to lose the top spot to me. But I want to caveat that with something that's very interesting. All of your 4 positive categories statistically for a quarterback are again led by Lamar. Every single one. Every single top QB stat. And it's getting to the point where we're having to create a Lamar standard to determine if he's an MVP candidate. Because he's just freaking balling. I mean, he on a 3-year of consistency. It's just unbelievable at the level of play that he's at. But I still right now give the nod to Saquon because Saquon is changing the offensive game for Philly completely.
We're gonna have to change how we look at it.
We're gonna have to.
We gotta change. We gotta make the change that the league won't make. Right.
Okay.
We on the fan snob, and I'm proposing this. I want you to think about it until next week. And and our faithful listeners, I want you to. I am throwing the challenge flag. Okay, I'm throwing the challenge flag.
Give me your challenge.
And I want to include those that faithfully watch and join us in dialogue every week. I want to know what you think too. So even if you're watching this later, put it in the comments. We'll still see it. The MVP should be a quarterback only award. So whatever you want to make it,
award.
Just have a quarterback only award, and then have offensive player of the year be anybody besides the quarterback, or split it some kind of way. Because it's never going to be apples to apples because of the importance of the position that the quarterback has, and the stats are not. It's just never going to be there. I think.
I don't think you're not gonna get a fight from me on that, because I think Lamar is helping to create that point, right?
Yeah, it's been there, and it's just not gonna get better.
Yeah, because every year we have a good quarterback. That's fair. We could go back and name who we thought played the best at QB over the year, but it's not apples to apples. I can never compare Lamar to Saquon. I have to do something else different. And that's why I told you last week. I said, when you asked me about Lamar and Henry, I was like, I can't discount his QB skills because Henry is this. But then Henry is definitely not giving me what Saquon is giving me. But Henry is giving me something great. But if I got to vote on everybody else, then I would just give it to Saquon. And then over here, then Allen gonna have to beat Lamar, because Lamar is freaking killing it.
Yeah, I mean, we just got
It's just a beautiful thing. I mean, this is the art and the love of football, right? This is the moment, like when you can effectively articulate why you want one or the other, and it sounds great either way you go.
And it ends up being, I mean, you try to say, well, who's the best player on the team, right? And you can clearly say Saquon is the best player on his team. And you can clearly say Josh Allen's the best player on his team. And you can clearly say Lamar's the best player on his team. But then when you start to say, okay, well, who's MVP? You have to look at the quarterbacks differently than what you look at Saquon. And he's going to be, because of the importance of the position. So if we split it, Saquon is definitely non-quarterback MVP. And then quarterback MVP is by far that dude in Baltimore. It's not even a question. It's not.
Man, we get all three in one game. So I'm loving it.
So who you picking? I'm saying this one. Who you picking to win?
So you asking me to pick who I would think to win. I give the edge to the Eagles. And my reason for that is not even just because of the Saquon, just because their issues up front now that they've suffered were already starting to leak a little bit for being able to stop the run. They just weren't playing a team. I mean, for a while, Dobbins was killing them, right? And killing the Ravens with his run game. And he wasn't even getting excessive yardage. It was just wearing them down. And so I know the Eagles took a hit with Graham, right?
Yeah.
But
I was just trying to look that up. Yeah. He's out for the season. Yeah.
Correct. And so, but I think what I'm seeing is they as in the Ravens defense, haven't quite figured out how to tidy up that piece yet. Right. And on top of that, the secondary was bleeding a little toward the end of the Chargers game consistently. Like there's a little coverage issue there. So if they don't get pressure on Lamar, on Jalen, they're gonna struggle in the secondary because you still. So
it's funny. We've been the theme this week. We know each other too well, but we mirror this week.
Okay, I know it's the same issue.
I feel the exact same about the Ravens. I'm leaning towards the Ravens.
But I would say the same for the Ravens. I would.
I was about to say
Eagles, but I would say because I've seen it consistently already shift for the Ravens. That's why I give them a little bit more negative in that column, because they're trying too much out with Hamilton to try to make it work. And sometimes it's suffering a little, but I feel like the Eagles secondary is more bend don't break. Slay got mixed up a little bit at a point and gave up, but I mean, it was consistently bleeding.
Did you see the dimes Lamar was throwing the other night though?
The dimes are dimes, but I'm talking about the coverage. And I'm talking specifically more about the injury. I mean, not injuries, the penalties. Now, look here. 2 of those touchdowns was should have been the 2 on top 10. Okay. Like they was money balls. The guys got in the right position. and they locked them down. I'm just saying that I just feel like, yes, they lost Graham, but there will be a little bit more tighter on the penalty. Now, that don't mean Lamar not gonna do his thing.
It's gonna
I
be a
don't
shootout.
know. It's gonna be a good one. That's why I've
It's
been
gonna be
going back and forth in the app.
it's I'm calling it a shootout,
But I know you mean also a run out too. Like
yeah, it's not gonna be it's gonna be an offensive. I think old school kind of fight. It's gonna be a brawl. I'm gonna give the slight edge to the Ravens, just because same thing that you said about them. I feel like Philadelphia and they're at home, so I'm gonna give them that's and home is relative because Philly ain't that far from. So I'm sure it's gonna be a lot of
for them. It's just gonna be a noise thing, and
they're gonna have just as many fans there. So I'm looking forward to this one. So I'm pretty sure our chat is going to be, crazy during this particular game. What time is that game? Do we know?
I thought it was at 3.
Is that the 3:00 game? See, me and nephew going to the Rockets that day too. So I'm gonna have to figure something out.
Oh,
but I'm gonna have to get posted up before the game.
Yeah, I thought that was a late day game, but I could be wrong.
I would imagine since it probably is the game of the week for the
because we're on Fox. Houston's on Fox that week, so that's why I say that. I was trying to pull it up.
We'll pull it up. We'll go to the next. You want to go to? You had another NFL game, or do you want to talk about rivalry week? I'll let you pick.
So I wanted to talk about just briefly the stadium, kind of the Green Bay game on Thanksgiving. Okay. And the weather is and confirm it is a 3:25 game. That's Central Time for us. But I wanted to briefly talk about, because I said last week I would try to pick a stadium based on the matchups of the week that I would want to highlight, since I've done all of them. And one interesting thing coming up is Green Bay is going to be 30 degrees. So I'm looking forward to that. And I thought
like 28.
Yeah, well, either way, 30 and below. And I just wanted to kind of go back, just thinking about the nostalgia of like the Cleveland game and how it starts with a, subtle moment, then it becomes a snowstorm. We went to Green Bay 8 years ago, and we, as in, Derek and I and a few other of our faithful friends, and the night before there was no snow, but it was forecasted to snow on game day, and that was going to be the first snow of the season, not just football season, but of the winter for them. And I'm gonna just, share some moments. This is us. We took a tour of the stadium, and I want y'all to see. I'm gonna bring this one back like in a second, but I want you to see. So this is us. This is just literally the night before. The night before. We were allowed on the field as a part of our tour, which I highly recommend. Their museum tour and field tour. We did both. And stadium tour. So stadium tour and museum tour. They're both on site, but two different packages. And so clear as day. Y'all see that, right? No snow, gorgeous ground, everything.
Beautiful night.
Beautiful night. Had a good time. We're gonna pause for this moment of y'all know
what it is.
Derek is a Green Bay and a Texans fan. So in this moment, he had on a Green Bay shirt and a Texans beanie. But whatever, but we had a good time.
I had a different one for the game, remember? And they told me to choose.
Yes. And then this is the fun moment. I want you to see my glasses. Because one eye has completely fogged up, and the other one I can see out of. And the fun fact, if you ever go to a game in the snow, and how you can see all the fans in Cleveland, you're like, why are they doing that in that snow? Why are they sitting there? Just wear a raincoat, a good poncho and a good raincoat. Like, put on your coat for warmth, and then put a poncho or something waterproof over it. Because really, snow is like being in the rain. So if you remember that,
it's better.
it's better. And then you
It's better.
actually stay warmer. And so we were actually pretty warm. And so this was my first time really understanding the proper way to warm the body and protect it, to where you can sit in anything to watch a game. Now, some things are more unbearable than others, but my point is, once you learn it, it's not really about tons of layers. Like the biggest way to show people you are not savvy with the weather is to have on 8-9 layers of clothes, because you are not warmer because you put on more layers.
Help April right here. So you blessing her. Give it to her.
Okay. So April, here's the key thing you want to remember about going to that game. This works whether you're going to Washington or you're going to Green Bay. You want to cover, quote unquote, the holes on your body. And so what I mean by that is hands. You want to wear something that goes all the way to your wrist. Okay. Then you want to have gloves. You want your gloves to come all the way to meet over that edge of your wrist. Okay. So that means you have cut off the circulation of outside air on each hand. Preferably, well, baby, that you my type of sorrow. What's up? Because that's what I'm talking
Just
about.
say stop. You can stop talking about it.
I can stop talking about it. Well, we're gonna move on. And next time you need to invite me. But shout out to don't drop your liquor in the chat. You can mention that on here. She has a liquor brand, and so we're gonna let her shout that out down there. We can settle up on that part later. So keep expanding your brand to different states. I love it. So we don't even have to go into that. But this was a great moment. And then this is during the game. As you can see, if you look behind me in the picture, Green Bay is going to come out right there behind us. You see the cheerleaders and everybody lined up. And then next this is what it looked like by the time the game was over. This is post game. And these people are just still hanging out and chilling. But you can see, how the snow is still falling on the field. It was an awesome moment. Our car was stuck in the snow, and the people came outside and helped us with a good old dig out and push. And my famous story of I lost my wallet at the game. The people turned it in. So, and like April said, she just let y'all know about infinite spirits. And I didn't want to say it incorrectly. That's why I wanted you to drop it in the chat, because I thought it was infinite, but it's spelled differently because it's infinite spirits. So yeah, y'all check that out. We always here to support great efforts. But yeah, so I just wanted to, show people kind of what we experienced going to Green Bay. We stayed at a lake house. It was a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful lake house. It really was like a lake house mansion, to be honest. I think we lost count of rooms. After 7, I stopped counting. Yeah, Doc picked a good one. And that was 7 bedrooms, not 7-room house. It was a 7-bedroom house. So, but yeah, so that's the one I think that'll be quite interesting this weekend. And so, we can't discount Thanksgiving games with Detroit and of course the Cowboys. I'm not sure how much that game will be for them. Hopefully the Cowboys can win at home on Thanksgiving and get the turkey at the end and not be a jive turkey. So wishing them
the Detroit game shouldn't be too bad. I mean, Chicago's not, their record, is not very great, but they've been playing pretty decent. And a division game, how we feel about division games here. So, and then Detroit is just an exciting brand of football right now. So that game should be pretty interesting. I'm not sure about the second game.
Well, and I also want to make sure I clarify too that I'm not sure Tommy's even starting, or if he is playing, he's playing hurt because he got hurt.
But we know who ain't starting. So
shout out to Danny getting picked up by the Vikings. Great front office organization. I think that's awesome. I think fans forget sometimes that You get too far in the moment for your team and you forget it's their employment, right? And sometimes you have to change jobs, change scenery, change shifts, change departments. We all go through those things. And so it's easy to say that somebody didn't do their job, but they had a great resume when they submitted it, right? Like when they applied for the job. So sometimes it happens. I'm sure you've managed someone before who had a difficult time doing a role, and at some point you might have been the person that was difficult doing your role. So you have to kind of
Speak on it. Speak on it.
keep that in mind, because I think I saw too many comments of people thinking like he shouldn't want to go to a winning team. Well, newsflash, he was already on the losing team. So why wouldn't he want? Like, sometimes people are just not using the right logic, because part of the reason why you would want to go to a winning team, it's a healthy environment. It's more welcome environment.
We're not giving that thought. We're not giving that
thought. I just want to make sure I put that, but I'm going to put it out there. I'm not going to even expand on it. I just want to be clear about why would anyone say, I can't wait to be signed by a losing team.
Yeah, that's losing mentality.
Exactly. So that's my take on that.
For sure.
And what's our last piece for the night?
Well, I just kind of wanted to touch on. We talked about Thanksgiving games, but I want to touch on the college rivalry week. Is there any one that you I guess fancy over the other? You got the Iron Bowl with Alabama and Auburn. You got Michigan, Ohio State. You got the return this week of UT and A&M. So I think it's some great college ball games that's going to play this week. Anyone you fancy more than other, or you just want to see good ball?
So one thing would start with the Big 12, and it kind of goes back to April's comments briefly about, well, that's SEC, but her comments originally about the Big 12 and the level of my concern with seeing the refs allow things more in a negative effect against Colorado players.
That was crazy.
And it's starting to be to a point where it's blatantly obvious. It's not discretion. It's not a range of decision. It's blatant disrespect for the rules that are in place to protect players that are not being used properly. And I'm highly disappointed about that. So, but the fun part I wanted to bring up about Big 12 was I am ecstatic to see a 4-way tie. Colorado could have, obviously won and put themselves in a different position. But the beautiful thing is, that says a lot about the Big 12, right? Like, to have a 4-way tie going into the last weekend. I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out. And they're not great matchups for everyone. Like, everybody's pretty much playing a team that they should beat, but it's just interesting to see how this will play out. And the fun fact of it, with Arizona State leading the charge, if they win, they're in. They don't really have to fight over the 4-way tie as much. They would also be in the playoffs. So you go from, 1 week, you're not in contention. You're not in position for the Big 12 championship. Not necessarily you're not in contention, but you weren't in position. You were not in the playoffs based on rank, and you could change all your momentum. Fascinating story.
Well, they still got to win the Big 12 championship to really be in the playoffs. I mean, because I don't think you think 2 teams are going to make it from the Big 12?
Well, it depends on which team. It depends on, I guess, how those rankings go. Because
they'll so if they win, they pretty much are in the Big 12 championship game. But they still got to win the Big 12 championship game to really make it to the playoffs.
Correct.
I don't think.
So the weird part about that is, based on the way it looks, they would be rematching with BYU.
So but I mean, anything happened.
Yeah, anything can happen.
It's hard to be the team twice.
It's hard. So, it's hard. It's hard. Ask the Bills. But yeah. So now we move to the matchups in the SEC. Yes, I'm interested to see, the Aggies and the Longhorns matchup circle back, and more so for the fact that everybody joked when A&M left for the SEC that they was running from that matchup game. That matchup game with Texas, and it's back. Like, just like that, it's back. So good for them getting that back on track. And so I and then I got to give some shout out to the ACC. SMU stepped in and became big dog.
Real
Pony
big
up for
dog.
Dallas. Shout out to AJ Johnson, class of Wheeler Ridge, 1995. He played and graduated from SMU. Shout out to all those Southside Dallas graduates, including Sock, Duncanville, DeSoto, that are playing at SMU. So I have a special love from SMU, from especially the guys who have, came from the south side of Dallas. I say that collectively, and I know those are suburbs, but everything south is that way. Sock, DeSoto, Duncanville, Waxahachie. So April, you just in that thing, girl. You
I
just
wanted
you
to
just
say
in
all that.
there.
I
I
love
see you. I
it.
see you.
I love
Uh,
it.
but yeah, so fun fact, the first college games I covered for media were at SMU.
SMU. Yeah.
At SMU. And
Yep.
one moment we didn't really talk about, I don't think I really posted about it. I want to give a special shout out and condolences. We lost a great media person in Richard Walker. He passed last Monday. But Richard was somebody I met in a sports group. He used to just ask people to propose questions for him to ask on his show, and I would give him inbox questions, like, as he requested. And one day he asked me, hey, you really give good questions. Have you, ever thought about coming on a podcast or whatever? And I was like, nah, just, go to the games, whatever. I study radio, TV, so I know how you're supposed to really, formulate questions. And so we met at a game. And then from there, somehow he got me into the hook of podcasting and being a part of one of his shows at the time, getting me credentials, including credentials to do the Super Bowl in Arizona. That was all because of Richard Walker, 100% him. And it's just, people don't know what all some people do. You only are getting a glimpse. So whatever you see, sometimes you need to multiply it by 1,000, because he really would give people opportunity. And that, I'm forever, grateful. So that's my little tangent. But I'm definitely always looking forward to the Iron Bowl. It's one of my funnest ones. I think the biggest thing is seeing my little cousins when they were younger. Some of them were for Alabama and some of them were for Auburn. And the biggest game still is when Saban got them to put 1 second back on the clock and Auburn returns the missed field goal for a touchdown. That just, I still haven't seen a game that got me just mind blown that
That
way.
was crazy. That
Yeah.
was crazy. All right. All right. For me, it's the return of UT A&M, just because when I first started getting into college ball, I latched on to UT and Notre Dame at the time, just because
Okay.
that's what I was watching, and I didn't really care for A&M too much. So so I'm glad to see that back. But I'm with you with the Iron Bowl. I always watch. That's one game, no matter what.
I don't care about rankings,
I
nothing.
don't care. I don't
I'm
care
just
about no schedule.
I'm ready. I'm just
I don't
ready
care
to
about no
watch.
schedule. Yeah.
I'm just ready to watch it. And then I'll be taking it. This is the first year in about a little over a decade um that I won't be at the DeSoto playoff game during Thanksgiving,
Wow.
mainly because of schedule conflict. I'm going to see Usher on Saturday, so I have a conflict on being able to go to their game. But I will be at the Rice game and against USF. They're playing this weekend at Rice. And shout out to my college roommate T Natasha. We had the same name. She was T Natasha and I was Natasha. Her son plays for them. So I'll be joining that game and trying to enjoy it. And then in high school playoffs on Friday, I'm going to check out Iowa Colony versus Hightower. There's other games on the lineup. There's Summer Creek. I'm not sure who they're playing, but Summer Creek and then North Shore, they all play this weekend. But I mostly am going to game one. So checking out the playoffs and getting it in.
Oh,
You know,
it's
yeah,
football. It's football time.
yeah.
It's
It's
fall
football.
weather. It's gonna be chilly.
I don't think I'm getting out the bed tomorrow, except to go down to the kitchen.
Oh,
And
we'll talk about that.
yeah, I'm just saying for football purposes, it's kind of like I don't want to leave my room. But yeah,
We'll talk
that's
about
it for
that.
me.
We'll talk about that. All
Oh,
right.
Gonzalez, we're
Let's
gonna let
talk
him
to.
have his little Notre Dame moment. He brought up Notre Dame and made him happy.
I
But we
mean, you
want
know.
to, yeah, we want to thank you on this Christmas. Look, see, I blurred them together. We want to thank you on this Thanksgiving Eve for
Eve.
joining us. And look, let's use the next couple of weeks. So I'm trying to think of my costume for the Christmas Day game.
Oh
So
Lord.
Doc and I are gonna do costumes. Doc said he's gonna be Santa. That's
Oh
easy.
Lord.
So I'm thinking elf, but not that elf that was on my page. So let's be clear, not that elf.
Yeah.
But I'm
Let's.
thinking
Yeah.
elf.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm thinking elf, or I don't know. I was even like thinking something from the Wicked. I don't know, but it has to be like holiday theme. It can't just be random, right? So, and I don't really want to be a candy cane. So, um, yeah.
Mm.
So anyway, I'm gonna be thinking about that. I'm gonna be thinking about that. Be thinking about that.
All right, my friend. I'm thankful for you. So that's all. Just you. The whole package. You know what it means.
Thank you. I'm thankful, like for everybody that ever watched a show or episode, people I see out just randomly that they resonate with me or my energy. There's a lot of things in life that we don't understand, but it's always a joy to be appreciated in any capacity. And I feel appreciated by one person at a time. It doesn't have to be numbers. And so if you just need like something to brighten your day or start on a good moment, you can join my group on Facebook, the Good Day Only Crew. That is the sole goal of it. If just somewhere you can go to be inspired, to have a better day, a better moment, a better second, anything. Because sometimes people, we give others pressure, like, oh, you need therapy, or you need a break from this, and you need to stop listening to this. But sometimes you do need people to uplift you, and that's the sole purpose. So you come here to uplift. Even when someone is trying to explain themselves, your job should be to find a way to uplift them in that comment, and that's it. And so that's like I said, the Good Day Only Crew. And we welcome you with open arms. And on that note, I just want to say thank you guys for joining us tonight. You can always find me at the Gransberry on social media, Instagram, TikTok, all those beautiful things. Definitely would love for you to follow us on YouTube, because I'll post different shorts there. But either way, we appreciate you, and we will see you next time. Peace.
Blessings.